Okay, I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakat, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach the Bible in 100% truth. And Shalom to the hopeful elect, starting with 144,000. You've got the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in the land of North, Central, and South America, as well as the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners living amongst the other nations. Shalom to you. Today I came across an article. I'm going to keep it brief, and that's basically because of the topic that it involves. If I just click on news here. So this article came out 2 days ago. You can see the headline. It says, why footballers in Italy can't wear the number 88 shirt. It's forbidden. And this is a new rule that has been brought in the Italian, Serie A, if you don't know, is the top flight of football, what you call soccer, in Italy. And it's the highest level of football, basically. Football's played all throughout Europe. And Europe's considered, probably if not the highest level of football around. So you have like European competitions between different European teams, so on and so forth. And a lot of the best players in the world tend to navigate to Europe because of pretty much the money that's involved. And a lot of them try to bypass England through their career, because England could be a big cash cow if you join the Premier League, the top flight in England. But at one point, I think it's pretty much late 80s, early 90s, Italy was the number one league in Europe. So, and it's a high level league. If you don't know, this is for those who don't know about soccer, football. And as of this season just starting, August or September 23 to roughly May 24, the number 88 has been banned. So I'm not going to read the article, but I will leave the link in the description box. But if we go back, you can pretty much see the headline written here. Players in Italy will no longer be able to wear the number 88 shirt as part of new measures in the country to clamp down on, this particular word here, which I'm not going to say. These type of words are going to upset the algorithm. The same reason why I'm not going to go into the article, but I will leave the link in the description box. So they're claiming, who else but the small hats, the people who have falsely assumed the identity of the Israelites and are occupying the land at the minute. The little small hats, some of them have big hats, and they have this particular word that they throw around. We know by now that these guys, you're pretty much dealing with the Edomite Empire. Those of you that are new, this empire is run by Edomites. You have had previous Edomite empires. You've had empires of the other nations that have been in power. So currently we have the Edomite Empire, and within the Edomites you have a group of people, small hats, and the Ashkenazi Amaleks. The Bible refers to these people as Amalekites, and we refer to them as small hats. Obviously, if we say who they really are, the Ish people, then this can flag up our videos, and at this time it's not something that we want done. So they run society, and they control the media, control the financial aspects. We talk about the banking elites all the time, and these people go back to these particular bloodlines, these genealogies. So it's not a coincidence, the fact that the scriptures are telling you that you'll be living in an Edomite empire, and certain people will be having a say within those Edomites. You have different types of Edomites. You have the Germans, or, for example, the Temanites. You could refer to these as Germans, or the scientifically engineered, on a high level, Edomites. Those that you have different types of Edomites. You have the redneck type of Edomite, with the beer in his hand and the belly out, and a little bit of sunburn on the back of his neck. But then you'll have the other type of Edomite. It's a little bit more sophisticated. He's got his pair of glasses on and a suit, and you might find him working in the lab. So you we refer to the Teamanites as those, with the engineering quality. So mainly the Germans. And the Germans have always had high level engineering, and since the Second World War, these German scientists have found themselves working for America. So that's why America has developed so quickly with its military engineering, so on and so forth. So we know obviously what happened 1948 in the land of Israel. They pretty much installed themselves as a government there, and these particular types of Edomites are the small hats, the same ones that run the banks and the media. We can't go too into it, but they're claiming this. It says the number 88 has long been associated with neo-Nazis and has been used as means of saying this particular phrase again, as the H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. So there is a lot of this particular issue going on in Italy. It says here the number 88 is used by extremist groups to represent HH salute, as the letter H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. In March 2023, a Lazio fan from Germany was seen wearing a jersey bearing the name Hitlerson. It's not exactly the word that I want to avoid, so shouldn't really trigger the algorithm, but it says here, and the number 88. So that we click on images, and it's used quite a lot, and obviously there are certain players. This particular person here, Buffon, he's quite well known, quite well famous in the football world. So, and they're showing support for this particular thing. Lazio, this team here in the light blue, they're quite a well-known fascist team. They don't hide it. This is, again, I think this is Lazio, because that was the guy with that name on his back. So this is Lazio people, but this kind of issues rife throughout Italy, to be honest. In fact, it's rife throughout football altogether. That's why they push this thing, kick racism out of football, but they're not gonna, because the spirits of the people are put upon them by Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, and we're living in a divisive kingdom, and people, we're mixed. The scriptures in Daniel, the book of Daniel, this kingdom is described as iron mixed with clay, which ultimately do not stick. That happens on a political level, and it also happens down on street level. So trying to kick racism out of football is pretty much futile. You're trying to go against Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. If you want peace, you need to wait for the kingdom of heaven. So before I go, this brought me to Revelation chapter 12 and 10. It says, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of the anointed. So this is what's happening at the minute. Ezekiel chapter 37, there's a great awakening taking place. The Hebrew Israelites are remembering who we are, who the true people are. That's why we are now able to identify those false small hat imposters that are living in our land at the minute, because the remembrance of us is coming back. And so with that, we're remembering who we are, remembering our customs, our true identity, and ultimately, if you receive this truth and the Spirit is working with you, you've already started to receive salvation, and your hope now is that the Lord keeps that Spirit on you until the day He arrives. Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh Shai arrives. You want to keep that Spirit on you to be delivered, and then obviously the salvation is complete. Those that fall away or get discouraged by this truth, and ultimately they may be hot with it at the beginning, but then eventually they start to fade off and do less and less, listen to less videos, look up less scriptures, and do less praying. And ultimately you don't complete the task. So you don't complete the task of salvation and make it to the actual salvation point. But if the Spirit's working with you on the minute, you're seeing that light, that salvation is hitting you with it. That's why scriptures tell you, make this calling and election sure. Be diligent to make this calling and election sure. So that kingdom is around the corner. We see it coming. We've got the MOTB and WW3 left to go. 2 major prophecies, and we're very close. And so now we're seeing the strength of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai. That third temple is being built within us, within our minds. It's actually being established. You look around on the world today and you see this empire crumbling and falling away, and a new kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, is being established right before your eyes. So we're telling you, watch, pay attention, because things are going to go downhill very drastically, and the cut-off point for this empire is very close. But while that's happening, the fact that you're hearing this word, the fact that the 144,000 are out there, those that are still in physical bodies are out there pushing this word, then spiritually what you're understanding is that the third temple is being built right now. You look around the earth, you can't see it, but it's being built within our minds. The statutes, the commandments, the ordinances of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, the thinking, the mindset that we're supposed to have is actually being installed in our minds right before these other nations, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. That's what creates the fear. They see us standing upon our feet. And so you're seeing the kingdom actually being established before your eyes. It's just that we have a major point, which is the day of the Lord, and then we have a drastic turnaround in events, but that process is already on the way. It's already happening. It's already in the makings. So this is all, through the power of the anointed. This is Yahweh Shai, Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai, his son. And it says here, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. And so this represents these Edomites, the spirit of the devil. These Edomites are the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. So they carry out his work to a T. And within that group of Edomites we have the Amalekites, the small hats. And this precept applies to all Edomites, but the Amalekites are the ones who particularly control the narrative in the media. And it says here, the accuser of our brethren is cast down. So that's what will be happening. We're seeing them falling away, this kingdom falling away as we speak, and then comes the day of the Lord. You have war in heaven between Michael the archangel and the nations and their military power, the air jets that they have, the military forces that they have up in the air. That will all be taking place. You have World War III, the day of the Lord, and all these other things going on. And so this will be the accuser of our brethren being cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. So this happens to all Israelites. This is part of the curses. You're standing in the shop, you're walking around, you've got a fat wad of cash in your pocket, but the security guards are watching you, all the staff are watching you, everybody's looking at you sideways, double checking you. You notice it makes you mad. And it's happened to me many times. And you go in there innocently to buy some goods, and because you think it's because you look a certain way, or you think it's because your skin color is a certain color, but ultimately it's down to the curses. You think that because your skin is dark you're getting accused of theft, but it's not that, because another person with that same color skin won't get accused of it. Maybe they're somebody of another nation, maybe they're a Hamite. All people on this earth go back to the days of Noah and the flood, and they come from one of Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Japheth and Ham. And so out of Shem you have the Hebrew Israelites, you have the Edomites, because we obviously come from the same wound. So we are pretty much of the same lineage up until the point of Esau and Jacob, where we split into nations. So they throw around this particular word, anti, the one that let's go back to it. They throw around this particular phrase, the anti-phrase. But ultimately, what they're doing is they're making it seem as they're the only people of that bloodline, as if there were no other people on the earth. Like I said, everybody on the planet today either goes back to one of those three men. Africans, you go back to the Hamites. Polynesians, you go back to the Japhites. These are also the initial inhabitants, the Japhites of Europe, for example, many years ago. So, this phrase can be applied to many people on the planet today, yet it's the small hats that take it, wrap it up, package it, apply insinuations and innuendos to it about whoever they feel like, and they present it in the media. This is them accusing the accuser of our brethren doing his work. When you go to the word accuser, you have, let's play
Strong's G 2723. Categareo. Categareo.
Categoreo. And we have accuse, object, outline of biblical usage. To accuse before a judge, to make an accusation of an extrajudicial accusation. So, on all levels. That's why the prison systems find themselves full of Israelites, because the accusations are out there in the shop, in the street, and sometimes, many times these Israelites may not even be doing anything wrong, but they seem to get involved in a scenario, in a scene, and you can still get yourself arrested for running your mouth. And now you find yourself in a situation where you think, what's this all happening for? And I've been in certain situations myself. It's the main reason why I go to work at night, in a night shift, because what you'll find when you're working nights is there's less managers around, less of these people around to accuse you of certain things. And you'll find yourself going through job after job. When they let you go, they'll give you these particular reasons, but ultimately, when the management are working, behind the scenes and discussing you, they'll accuse you of certain things. They'll say, well, he's always this, he's that, he's lazy. And this particular tag always gets applied to our people, Israelites. If you try to judge Israelites just on skin color, you're not going to make it very far. Israelites come of all colors and appearances. So you look at a certain person and you have to judge them according to the curses that they're going through. And so you'll find people of many skin colors who go through these particular scenarios. Although, having a dark skin, that tag, that understanding is widely accepted and known to be part of that. Having dark skin and being accused of certain things, and then you stand up and claim racism, and then some people say, oh yeah, here we go again. Why can't you just get along? And why can't you just deal with it? You get these Jakes, these Uncle Toms, which, even accuse you. You'll be in a scenario where you get accused by multiple people, and certain Jakes, these Uncle Toms, these ones with Stockholm syndrome, the ones that coconuts, brown on the outside, white on the inside, they'll come along and start playing the part with these Edomites and accusing you. You're thinking, hang on a minute, I haven't done anything wrong here. I mentioned a couple of videos ago about having a scenario where the incident in the car, and the lady stopped to pretty much beef me, this old lady. So I just sat in my car, and then throughout the process her husband died and had a heart attack there and then. So what happened here, she got out to accuse me, and it resulted in her loss, which is, that's Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai judging her for whatever it is. But ultimately this is what it is, and that can escalate all the way. It escalates onto the streets. Jakes are getting pulled up, having their car run. Police are constantly running through your car, searching it out, the bonnet open, the boot, the doors, because they're looking to accuse you of stuff. I've had it done to me many times. I've had the car pulled up and nothing in the car, nothing illegal, nothing wrong, everything legit. Yet they search the whole car, run through everything just to hopefully to find something to accuse you of. It's the spirits in these Edomites, in this empire. The spirits working against you. You can't stop it. You're Israelite. All you can do is pray for faith and is pray for deliverance to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai and wait on Yahweh Shai to come to change it up. But yeah, this escalates all the way up to the level of the media, and now you've got these small hats who take a tag, a particular phrase which ultimately applies to you, but they don't want you to even know you're those people. So they claim that they're as if they're the only people from that seed, and then they throw it out at you. You can't wear number 88 or whatever else. So Israelites don't get that type of protection in this community, but the small hats do, because they control the narrative, the categoria. So when you look up before I go, it's made me think of no guile. Revelation 14:5 says, and in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of the Most High. And this is talking of the 144,000. It says, and I looked, this is verse 1, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the mount of Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. It's written spiritually, imprinted in your mind. Every time you go through a certain scenario and you look at you make a conclusion about, or a judgment about what you're seeing, what phrase goes through your mind, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. So that is spirit is working with you, and that name is written in your forehead. And certain scenarios occur, and that's why it's important remembering this. You come back to this truth of who you are. You go out on the street, you get accused, you get involved in these certain scenarios, and remember, this is all part of the play known as the scriptures of the Bible, prophecy. So now Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai has given you that inside knowledge, rather than get emotional and get involved and get yourself trapped up in a problem. Hold back, remember the scriptures, and behave according to how you're guided through the Spirit and through the remembrance of what you remember in the scriptures in that particular scenario. It says, verse 2, and I heard a voice from heaven, and a voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps, and they sung as it were a new song before the throne. And that new song is this truth, that it seems new, but initially this understanding of the scriptures is ancient, but the understanding and the remembrance of it was gone from this earth. And the fact that we're coming back to our remembrance makes it seem as if it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from earth. These are they which were not defiled with women. And philosophy and wisdom is represented by a woman, and so this defilement is not a physical defilement on a sexual level. It's a spiritual, mental defilement, not defiled by these other wisdoms, these other cultures. It says, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb, Yahweh Shai, whithersoever he goeth. These are redeemed from among men, brought back out of them, given them the remembrance, the spirit to remember who they are, and separate yourselves spiritually and mentally from this kingdom around you, because the wake-up call is here that everything is about to go down real fast. It says, these were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto the Most High and unto the Lamb, Yahweh Shai. So the first fruits represents the first spirits made. You go back to the beginning, Yahweh pretty much made Yahweh Shai, and then made the other spirits, angels if you like, and then these spirits went out and, according to the blueprint of Yahweh, made the planet and the things that go, the ecosystem and everything that goes along with it. And so you're reading in Genesis the creation of the earth and everything else, and it was the first fruits that were involved in this particular scenario. And that's why, these first fruits are the 144,000. Now, in the article that I've highlighted today, these small hats, these Edomites, these Amalekites, are accusing so-called football fans. We don't know if these particular people are Israelites or not, but they're making accusations and they're hiding behind this particular phrase, this anti-phrase, which they give the insinuation that they are the only people of this particular lineage through Shem, Noah's son. However, when we speak this truth, we sing this new song, we tell you the truth of the Bible, which then tells you the truth of the events that are happening on earth, past and future. We break down the scriptures, we give you the true name of the Most High, who the true children of Israel are, so on and so forth. These small hats, these Edomites, these Amalekites do not want this information out. So they quickly run to accuse thy brethren, us, of this truth that we're giving you. And they set out these algorithms to entrap our videos and shadow ban them. There's a video I put up, not the last video, but the video for before. Even myself, I don't have many subscribers or many views. You could call me a very tiny fish in the pond, and yet they still find their way to hunt me down and shadow ban my videos. I think I put the video up, and the day later it was like 1 view, and 1 view is 1 view. So I thought all praises to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Day 2, I looked at it again, there was 2 views. I was like, okay, it's good, 2 views. And on the 3rd day, I go back to look at it, and it goes back down to 1 view. So, and I think to myself, these little devils, the spirit that is on them to do this kind of thing, it's like robbing poor people, homeless people. You've got 2 whole views to yourself, 2 whole views in the whole 8 billion people of the planet. And yet they'll still rob you of one of them and take them away. And that's how we know it's their work. And they do it through accusing us of bringing out false information or saying that the way we break things down is hateful, so on and so forth. But we're just giving you the truth. And people that don't believe this are going to find out the day that Yahweh Shai arrives, what's really going on. But in the meantime, they try to accuse us of all these particular things through the scriptures, the new song that we speak. And that's why certain words we can't mention, and even though you're not mentioning these particular words, you're still having your video shadow banned. If they could, they could outlaw us altogether. And I'm pretty sure somewhere in the background, these small hats that control the media are probably working on that process. But we'll see what happens. But before I go, one thing which I do want to highlight, the spirit of the devil that was initially on Cain, who slew his brother Abel, is the same spirit that's on these Edomites, this new set of people, if you like, through history. These Edomites that have come along. Esau was in the same womb as Jacob, but ultimately they've come out and become 2 separate nations. And so these Edomites are a whole nation of people with that spirit on them. You can't tell Israelites by the way they look. You have to read the spirit that's within them. And so these Edomites will definitely, whatever they look like, because you have Edomites mixed in the Middle East, as well as many parts around the earth. Scripture's talking about separating the wheat from the tares. So you can't tell just on face value. You have to read the spirit of how people are behaving. And an Edomite will have the spirit of the devil. The devil goes back to the word diablos, and which ultimately means slanderer. Now, when we look up the word slander, it says the action or crime of making a false spoken statement damaging to a person's reputation. So the spirit of the devil means the slanderer. That is the spirit that's on them. And this is a spirit in which the action or crime of making a false spoken statement damaging to a person's reputation. So that's what they do. And so ultimately, to be a devil, you have to be deceptive to be slanderous. So it all works within the same thing. Deception is, you can't be slanderous and not be deceptive. If I go through the scriptures and I break down a person's character and I say, well, this, according to the scriptures, your character, the way you're behaving, the way you live your life is unrighteous, and Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai will punish you for that in the time of his visitation. People will say, well, that's a hurtful statement. Yeah, but it's not slanderous. It's true. It's according to the scriptures, and that's pretty much what's due to happen. You Israelites out there that those that don't get with this truth, that don't believe on the names Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, there is a special time for these people called Jacob's trouble, and it's just around the corner. So, we tell you what's going to happen and how it's going to go down, and you say, well, these are hurtful statements, but ultimately they're true. They're according to scriptures. We have the spirit of truth and prophecy, the Holy Spirit. So these little devils out here, these Edomites, they have the spirit of slander. That's why they're devils. Diablos is slanderous. And so what does that do? That means they come with the action or crime. The action, the behavior or crime of making a false spoken statement damaging to a person's reputation. And that's what they're doing at the minute. These Edomites, they're out here pretty much committing crimes against Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, against the righteousness of the scriptures and the laws and commandments, so on and so forth. They're committing crimes, and part of that crime is to make false spoken statements damaging to a person's reputation. So they try to bring down the reputation of a Hebrew Israelite. Why? Because we're giving you the truth, unadulterated, clean, uncut truth. And what do they say? Knowledge is what? Is power. So they don't want Hebrew Israelites as well as the general public to have power. So they don't want this knowledge out there. So therefore they take the action or crime of making a false spoken statement damaging to a person's reputation. They hit you with an email, we took your video down because it's misinformation. Well, hang on a minute, that's damaging to the reputation of the truth, but we're giving you the truth. And ultimately you can't damage the truth because the truth involves, like I just mentioned, a visitation from Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, and that's when everybody's going to find out. But you're trying to spot a devil, you're trying to ignore the appearance and take him on face value of the spirit. You need to be looking for someone who's slanderous towards Hebrew Israelites. For myself, if you were to look at me, you'd say, well, this person's East Indian. And that's what I grew up believing I was. And the only reason why I know I'm a Hebrew Israelite is because an angel came, a spirit came, whatever you want to phrase it as, came and directly told me, where I'm from, and certain details. So I've had to correct who I believe I am according to what this spirit came and told me. Just like you read in the book, these spirits come and they talk to these particular men and they tell them information, and it changes the way these people think. From that moment onwards, they have a completely different understanding. But when I was growing up, I was hanging around, with people and labeling myself as East Indian. And so if I was hanging around Edomites, hanging around East Indians, Moabites, what do you think they used to do? They used to slander Israelites, so-called black people. Say, and they'd say it boldly in front of me because I wasn't seen, I didn't see myself, or they didn't see myself as one of them. So they would, and I never really went along with it, didn't really like it, and if people were kind of like that, then I'd probably end up gravitating my way away from these particular people. That's ultimately how it panned out. And end up being attracted towards people who are Hebrew Israelite nature, of that spirit, then I find out that I am of that spirit, and it all makes sense. But these other nations, even to this day, when they're out there, they're alone. You think they haven't got this spirit on them. They all got that spirit of the devil. They're living in the devil's kingdom. The witchcraft goes out and it affects all their minds, even though they have all their own cultures. You've got these East Indians praying to their 1,000 different gods, yet they want to be like the white man and wear a white doctor suit to go to work and earn big money. These Arabs, they tell you about all their Muslim culture, blah, blah, blah. They got all the gear on, giving you all this, Allah Akbar, whatever nonsense. And what do they do with their big money? They go and buy a Ferrari to be like the white man, to be like the Edomites. The spirit is spread around these other nations to want to be like the Edomites. And same thing's happening with our people. That's why you get these Uncle Toms. And ultimately that's why, Israelites get it from all nations. We get the slander from all nations. We get that bad reputation. We according to the curses, we get given, the worst opportunities. We get the short straw. We end up growing up in the poor parts of town and having to do drastic things just to survive on a daily basis. By the time we made it as an adult, we're not given any backing by our families to go out there and make something of ourselves. These other nations do that to their children. So we start off on a bad foot because of the curses, and then these other nations are quickly, they're very quick to point at us and play the spirit of the devil, the accuser, the slanderer, the action or crime of making false spoken statements damaging to a person's reputation. And all these nations do it. Not just the Edomites, they all do it. But the difference with these other nations and the Edomites is the Edomites are bold enough to tell you to your face. These other nations don't. They go behind your back. And that same spirit, the spirit of the devil, the slanderer, the action or crime of making false spoken statements damaging to a person's reputation exists amongst our own people. And that's why, we come out with this word, we come out with this truth, we come with information that can save the souls of Hebrew Israelites. And what do? They reject it. And how does that work out? Because they're rolling in that spirit. And that's why they come back with the slander, the action or crime of making false spoken statements damaging to the reputation of the Hebrew Israelites. And they get this through the media. They pick up the understanding through the narrative they're taught in the media, which is ultimately pushed by the Amalekites, the little hats, the big hats, whatever else. It's them, the accuser of thy brethren.
Okay, before I go, I just wanted to add this little piece onto this particular video. I've just sat down, it's Monday, I don't know what the date is today, it's Monday, and I sat down Monday morning and I made this video, put this video together that you've just heard me speak. Everything up until now is me making this particular video regarding the accuser of thy brethren. And I finished the video. I tried to download the video from the iPhone app onto the actual iPhone so I can upload it onto YouTube. And throughout that process, I've just attempted it, and it was failing. It wasn't working for some reason. And then my wife just came home and she gave me a story, and then I realized that the spirit was stopping me uploading the video for me to add this little piece on. This is how the spirit works. When we come out and give you these scriptures, we don't just make it up the way we feel, make it sound nice and come along and give you this cock and bull story. We work through the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit works on our minds, gives us understanding, directs us, guides us, and we know how to break down these scriptures for you. So I've just spent this morning thinking about accuser of thy brethren. I've put a video together, And just as I tried to upload the video, it won't let me upload. And now my wife came home and she gave me this story, and this goes in line with the accuser of thy brethren. So my little one, my daughter, she's 4 years old, 4 years old last month, and she's just started school for the first time, proper school. She was at nursery, but now as of last week, she just started proper school. So they're putting her through the the rigmarole of this Edomite education system. And so apparently, they were asking the children in class, they were showing them pictures. This is what I just got told. They were showing all the children pictures, and they were asking the children, what do you think, what comes into your mind when you see this particular picture? Then they were pulling up another picture, what do you see in your mind when you see this particular picture? And so my little one, she's, how can I put it? She's pretty much got brown skin, light brown skin. She's got relatives. Her grandmother is a so-called, Jamaican, like a Benjamite. So she's got, her wife, her mum is, what you call a lighty, so-called half black, half white, even though there's no such things. You actually go back to your father's seed. So my daughter has a mixture of ethnic appearances in her, and so technically you could say that she's got genealogy from all races in her, in her appearance. But either way, she sat at school and they showed her this picture of this man, and they asked her, what do you see when you see this particular picture? And she said, I see a bad man. Now it just so happens that the man in the picture is black. Okay, so this is where the spirit of the accuser of thy brethren has kicked in. So the teacher showed her a picture. What do you see when you see this? Oh, I see a bad person. And in the picture is a black, so-called black man. So they're like, oh my gosh, so they've come to my wife and they're like, oh, it's not a big issue, but we just need to highlight this. And they've said it to my wife, oh, your daughter, we showed them a picture of a black guy, and the first thing she said was, it's a bad man. So, I've taught my wife to analyze critically. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Critically analyze the things around you and understand what's happening. So my wife said, look, did you ask her why she thought that this man was bad? And they said, no, they just made an assumption. They've just seen a black man in the picture. They showed it to her, a 4-year-old. The 4-year-old said, this is a bad person. And they've gone, oh, it's because he's black. Because they have that spirit within them, the accuser of thy brethren. And if you're black, you're devoid of light, everything about you is tainted, and someone's called you a bad person, it's probably because you're black. No. Ask the child, why did you call this person a bad person? And you know what she said? She said, because the person had his finger up in the air, and she thought that he was swearing with his middle finger. So it's quite an innocent example, but the teachers, the Edomite teachers that are with her, they jumped to the wrong conclusion. Didn't even bother to ask her, why do you think this person's bad? Oh, because he's holding up his middle finger, he's swearing. Now he's not holding up his middle finger, it's a different finger. He's holding up his index finger. But that's fine, she's 4 years old, she got that confused. But they didn't ask that, they just jumped to it. Oh, you think this man is bad? Oh, it's because he's black. And then they come running to my wife. Oh, there's a slight issue here. Now there's no issue because, most of her relatives, if she's not staying at my house, I will drop her with her grandmother. Her grandmother is so black, we call her Blick. So how the fuck are you going to tell me that this child has the image in her mind that a black person is a bad person? It's you, the teacher, you have that in your mind. So as soon as she said this person's bad, you jumped, oh, it's because he's black. Oh, we better tell the parents, we better raise awareness. And this is what it is. These devils out here, they have that spirit within them, the accuser of thy brethren. The little girl said this person's bad. They didn't ask no second questions. Oh, it must be because he's a black man. And this is the spirit you're working, that's working against you. Part of the curses, and this is what's out here. You see how the spirit works. You know, you get the understanding. I come across the article, the 88 article, come across some precepts. You go into it, you make a video, you manifest the spirit, make it work and activate. And then when you try to upload the video, the spirit quite clearly stopped me from doing that and said, no, hang about a little bit, because I'm going to bring you some more information, another story to add to your video. So this is how the spirit works. It guides us. And so now I've added this bit on. Lord willing, I should be able to upload this video. So hope that was helpful, hope that was edifying. So with that, you know, it just brought my attention to another precept, so I thought I'd just quickly run down one more precept before I go. This is Hebrews 2:3. It says, how shall we escape if we neglect so great salvation? This salvation that is due, that is to take place in the day of judgment, is a great, marvelous, miraculous thing. And how else are you supposed to escape this captivity? That's the only way you can escape this captivity. It says, which at first began to be spoken by the Lord. So this salvation first began, just as I mentioned earlier in the video. Salvation is complete when you get delivered in the time of destruction, the day of the Lord. But the salvation starts when you start to hear the word and you start to, you know, head towards that salvation. But it's only complete when you make it to the day of the Lord and receive the actual physical process. But it says here, which at first began to be spoken by Yahushua, and was confirmed unto us by them that heard him. So who heard Yahushua? The disciples. The word was first spoken by Yahushua, given to him by Yahweh, spoken by Yahushua. The disciples learned of him. They then went out and taught the members of the nation. And, you know, we're all back through regeneration of the spirit. We're all back today here on the planet, reliving out the same circumstances. And so, you know, the disciples are back out here who heard this message from Yahushua, and the elect are out here receiving this word off those disciples. We don't know who the disciples are though. Hebrews 2:4, but you can make a pretty good guess, you know, when you critically analyze who's breaking down these scriptures correctly. Hebrews 2:4, the Most High also bearing them witness. So that's what we are. We're witness to the spirit that's now working on us and guiding us and directed me through this video to make me bring all these little pieces together to make it. It says, the Most High also bearing them witness, both with signs and wonders. And so this is a sign, you know, not being able to upload the video. And why can't I get it uploaded? And the wife comes home, she gives me another story to add into the video. And then what am I doing? I'm wondering. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. See, the spirit is working. It's guiding and directing me. And with that, you know, I have full confidence to follow through what the spirit guides you on. It says, and with diverse miracles and gifts of the Holy Spirit, the Rakah Quadash in the Hebrew, according to his own will. So this is all according to the will of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai. The fact that you're remembering this truth, this is all grace given to you by Yahweh. And so this is what it is. You're just witnessing it. You know, we're reading the scriptures and we're witnessing it playing out in real time around us. I hope that was edifying. And until next time, I'm going to say all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakah Quadash. And until next time, Shalom.